Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and Commander, this is the situation report, and we go to start off with the frontline changes report. And for those commanders that have not signed in, please sign in by pressing the like button and the subscribe button. You have to register your name because we need to know who is actually in this briefing for security purposes. So we're going to start off with the frontline changes. We have multiple frontline changes over at Avdiivka, Zeline, Voshansk, Klishevka, Svatove, Netelove, as well as Solotke. So we go into the Kharkiv Front over at Avdiivka. So I have already mentioned a long time ago that I suspect that this incursion did not happen, and the claim by Ryba that this settlement has been captured by the Russian forces crossing over from Zuralevka cannot be corroborated, so I don't think it happened. And we have a geolocation finally. This geolocated by military summary, and Ukrainian forces are in the eastern part of Avdiivka. This shows that the entire incursion probably has been invalidated, or it never happened, or the Russians have entered and withdrew. So whatever it is, the Ukrainian forces have retaken the entire Avdiivka. So we finally can close a chapter over here in this sector of the front line. So the Avdiivka sector is now closed for business. So the next frontline change is over at Zeline. So this one is over in the Nekushne sector. This Nekushne, this Zeline. And there is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting hit by Russian artillery or some kind of a drone attack or whatnot. So because the video is a series of attacks, is a combination from artillery strike to drone strikes and whatnot. So as a result, I can't be bothered what kind of strike it is. What I care is that the Ukrainian forces are geolocated there, which means that the front line probably looks a bit more like this, which means that we have some invalidation of the Russian claims, but tentatively the position seems to still looks like the Russians have the position of Zeline. But we will continue to monitor the situation over at Zeline. And the next frontline change. So these are the two change that is in favor of the Ukrainians. However, everything else is going to be all red. The next frontline change is over at Voshansk. So over at the Voshansk region, there is a geolocation of frontline battles between the Ukrainian and Russian forces. There's some heavy urban battles geolocated within this region here, where the Ukrainian forces are attacking the Russian forces, and basically they are clashing around this area. So this actually extends the Russian front line. This will not affect the Ukrainian front line because this is just showing that there is a gray zone in this area here, marking the front line. So this expansion of the Russian front line over in the siege area of Voshansk. Fighting is very fierce in this area here. So we move on to Klishevka over at the Bakhmut Front. So we move all the way over here. So over the Bakhmut Front at Klishevka, we finally have some mapping corroboration, a little bit, it's not entirely, of the Russian success over in the Klishevka region. However, there is still nothing relating to the full capture of Klishevka or Avdiivka, because like I mentioned, the Russian forces need to conquer the entire high ground to secure Klishevka, and this frontline change does not affect in Avdiivka as well. So based on the Russian mapping by Ryba, Russian forces have taken this tree line around here, and this confirmed the Russian forces have taken everything south of Klishevka, not south, east and southeast of Klishevka. So this actually will change the front line to make the front line look a bit like this, with the Russian forces taking everything here. So this to and fro around this area, so many soldiers have died in this battle for Klishevka from the beginning, where the Wagner forces, leading the Russian troops, and those prison turned soldiers to attack Klishevka, conquer it from the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians counter-attack, taking it back from the Russians. Then now the Russians taking it back. So many people died for this stupid town, but it is what it is. So this war, war can sometimes be very stupid. So anyway, this is the frontline change over at Klishevka. The next frontline change is over at Avdiivka, over at Solovyove. So at Solovyove, here over this location in the northern part of the Avdiivka front. So this Avdiivka city, this is the northern part of the Avdiivka front. At Solovyove, the Russian forces have expanded their control and definitely have created some kind of a buffer zone around Siversk, with the Russian forces taking a lot of grounds, moving towards Novoporovsky. So this is quite a lot of change if you ask me. And some people ask me about the distance. This distance is around 1 kilometer, from the front line. This is around 1.2 kilometers. And this stretching here around half a kilometer. So I noticed that the mapping that you can see on the Defense Politics Asia's website, or this Google My Maps, you can actually do measurements of distance. So I'm so sorry. There's nothing I can do about it, because I can't really do anything with the Google My Maps. I did custom built a mapping app based on the Google Map API, not the app. But I did previously do that, but it does add a lot of work, and you can't really see the previous mappings. So the best is still using Google My Maps for now. Just make do for it. So it is what it is for now. And so the next frontline change is over at Netilove. Further south, there is a geolocation of Russian forces continue their expansion of their buffer zone around Netilove. So Russian forces continue to make advances. The Ukrainians seems to be not around here. They are slowly moving, because even if the Ukrainian forces are not around, they can't move quickly because of minings, booby traps and whatnot. So it's very, very dangerous, to move quickly in the front line. So the next front line change after Netilove is Solotke. So Solotke is over here. This Solotke and this Vodian. The Russian forces are attacking from the Solotke direction towards Vodian. And there is a geolocation of Russian forces storming this tree line. They are attacking this area, so resulting in some frontline changes in this area towards Vodian. So this is just another small step towards Vodian. The Russians take a long time to make this progress, but this is just a lot of distance. The distance between Solotke to Vodian is 13 kilometers. So if you walk, also it's going to take a couple of hours to reach there if you walk. So it is not going to be a easy way to reach there. So that's all for the frontline changes report. And for those that want to use to see this mapping, as I mentioned earlier, you can find it in the defensepoliticsasia.com website /Ukraine on the Ukraine page. And press the like button and subscribe. And and share. Because the algorithm is broken, so help me share, because there's no way, there's nothing I can do about it, because algorithm is so important on YouTube. So if the algo is broken, it doesn't share the video, there's very little I can do. So the best thing I can do is just ask you to help me share this report. And to people who are interested. To people who are not interested, I think they will just ignore it anyway. But you can just spam. It's okay, no problem. So we're going to go to the strategy and tactical reporting. And first thing first, this is the wrong icon actually. So the Ukrainian Su-27 got shot down over Ukraine, according to the Russian Defense Ministry's report. They say that it's by air defense. Yesterday we have a MiG-29, so now we have a Sukhoi-27. So just take it with a pinch of salt, because we will never see corroborations for this kind of things. Almost never. So we move into the Kharkiv Front. So over the Kharkiv Front, Russian forces continue their Kharkiv offensive. Maybe I'm not even sure it's an offensive anymore. It felt like more like a Kharkiv diversion operation. So there is attack over at Kharkiv, and there is Ukrainian counterattack over at Hliboke, Ukrainian counterattack at Zaporizhzhia, and the battle of Voschansk is currently ongoing, and Russians are attacking Taike. So this is the current strategic situation, and as you can see, there is no more offensive. The Russian Kharkiv offensive is pretty much over, as I mentioned also previously, because at the Voschansk sector, Russians have already blew up basically all the bridges, and clearly signaling the intent to not cross south from wherever they are. So the Russians are definitely not interested to go south, and I did mention this before. Strategically speaking, there's no reason to go into Kharkiv city. There's no reason to take over the Kharkiv front. It doesn't serve much purpose for the Russian forces. By doing this cross-border, kind of attack where you have some presence around there, this forced the Ukrainians to have to fight here. So if the Russians are within the Russian border, the Ukrainians can not need to actually fight over here. But because the Russians are now here, the Ukrainians are now obligated to actually fight in this front line, where clearly the Russians are no longer pushing south. Whatever it is, this is wasting Ukrainian resources and basically play into the Russian hands, unfortunately. So we go over to this Zuralevka sector or region. There is multiple geolocations. So other than the fighting reported at Granov or Hraniv, so the Russians are attacked in this area here. It could be just fire attacks. So take it with a pinch of salt. There's multiple geolocations of Russian strikes on Ukrainian forces. Over here we saw Yaruha. This sounds very Japanese. And this location just off Nikotivka. And of course, as mentioned, the Ukrainian forces are geolocated within Hotivka. So basically, the Ukrainians have retaken whatever the land they have lost, if they have lost it at all, over at the Hotivka region. So we move over from this area to the Lipsy sector. Over at Lipsy sector, the Ukrainians are on the counter-offensive. Ukrainians are fighting towards Hliboki currently, and the geolocation of Ukrainian forces clearly show that the Ukrainians are quite near Zeline, at least. So we still are looking for corroboration of the Russian presence in Zeline. So as you can see, the fighting also have really toned down a lot. Russian forces are holding this line around Lukyansk. It could be also around here. We are not very sure. If we look at this relief, we will probably see that this area here doesn't look very useful, as the Ukrainians have the high ground around here. So probably this is just a gray zone. This is just a gray zone. Russians are holding around the Lukyansk region, maybe along the river. So that's probably what is currently happening around here. We move into the Staritsia sector. Over the Staritsia sector, just around the region, there is attacks, Russian attack on Ukrainian forces at Senikove, Shetirivka, as well as this in the middle of nowhere, just north of Bayrak. So haven't heard of Bayrak for a long time. Oh my god, bring back memories from 2 years ago. Oh my god, I feel so old. Ukraine war have lasted so long. Imagine I have to say bring back memories. So nuts, man. So anyway, at Staritsia, Ukrainian forces are conducting counter-offensive operations in the Staritsia region. We do not know much about this. The Russians have the high ground around here. As I mentioned in previous reports, this is going to be a difficult fight because everyone is on the high ground. The Russians are having on this high ground around here in Borovka and the north of Staritsia. Ukrainians are in the high ground south of the river across Staritsia. Ukrainians may actually also be here. So it's just just a strike here, strike there. Everybody is just having partying around. Shooting eyes at each other. So over at the Voschansk region, the geolocation clearly shows the fighting around at Voschansk. There is a clash around this area, but no one reports about fighting at Voschansk. It's weird. So we have the geolocation, but there is no reports from either the Russian side or the Ukrainian side talking about some battles at Voschansk. So, which is why there's no mapped or plotted information about fighting at Voschansk. Over at Taike, the Russian Defense Ministry mentioned that they are attacking Taikoye. So interesting. That's interesting. the Rybar was the one that claimed that Russian forces have captured Taiki. The Russian Defense Ministry has never claimed that Taiki was taken. So this is a very important thing to note. So while I'm critical about the Russian Defense Ministry, making claims that cannot be corroborated, but they also never claim about Taiki, which also cannot be corroborated. So no credits where credits due. I'm not even sure if there's credit, but anyway, that's all over at this Kharkiv Front. So we move on from the Kharkiv Front over at the Kupyansk Front. At the Kupyansk Front, we have only Russian forces attacking over in the Zaporizhzhia region. The Russian forces are reportedly attacking here, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. I just want to, before I continue, I want to say also that there is zero Ukrainian Defense Ministry report over the past 24 hours. They went from overkilling, writing 5 reports in a single day when the new guy came over to do these reportings. They do 4 to 5 reports a day. Suddenly, yesterday, they decided to do 1, and then today, there's no more reports. The past 24 hours, there's no reports. So I'm not sure if the Ukrainian Defense Ministry will still be reporting any SITREPs. Just take note that this SITREP today may be a bit pro-Russian in the sense that based on information-wise, it's going to be all from the Russian side, except from Deep State UA. So because there's no Ukrainian Defense Ministry report. There's a Russian airstrike over in Petropavlivka, so that happened. And that's all from the Kupyansk Front. We move into the Svatove Front. As I mentioned, the Svatove Front has already went quiet. And it's probably even quieter because the Ukrainian Defense Ministry have no report. So Russian Defense Ministry mentioned they attacked Siversk-Bakhmut, and that's about it. This is the only report that we have about the Svatove Front. Over the Kreminna Front, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that the Ukrainians counterattacked over at Dniprova, as well in the Kharkiv region, within the forest, the Siversk Forestry region. So that's all we have. Usually, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry will report a lot more things, like they will talk about Russians attacking at Terny, over at Oskil and Nevsky. These are usually Ukrainian Defense Ministry's report. But because they are not around over the past 24 hours, they are busy publishing other stuff that I'm not interested in. So we just have to make do. Over at the Siversk Front, there is also no reports because usually the reports here also tends to be coming from the Ukrainian side. Over in the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, Russian forces are currently attacking in multiple directions. Can I zoom in? I can't. So Russian forces are attacking over in the region of Donetsk, over at Novi, towards Chasivya in the region of Ivanivsky, as well as Klishevka. So the Russian forces are pushing out. It looks like the focus is returning to Bakhmut. So Bakhmut Front seems to be the new attention from the Russian side, as all the other front line, the Russian troops are now resting. This major arrow towards Chasivya is now reignited. And of course, this other one, Klishevka, to try to straighten the front line, is currently being done, currently ongoing. We move on from the Bakhmut Front. Over at the Niu-York Front, Russian forces reportedly attacking towards New York, but that's about it. Information from the Russian Defense Ministry. And over the northern part of the Avdiivka Front, Russian forces clash with Ukrainian forces in the area of Ocheretine, as both sides are reportedly attacking. Russian forces gain a buffer zone around Svatove. They in a clash with the Ukrainian forces over at Novoporovsky. Russian forces are also being reported by the Russian Defense Ministry to be pushing out of Semenivka. So it looks like the Avdiivka front also start to heat up a little bit, seemingly, as the Russians seems to finish their rest or whatnot and start to push out, particularly over in the Svatove region. As I mentioned previously, Russian forces pushing out from Svatove is pretty good for the Russian forces, as they create more buffer zone around Svatove, and this allows them to start to attack towards Novoporovsky. And I think for this mapping, you probably see this will be clearer. So it's just a few farmlands, and then there's a river leading to Novoporovsky. The Russian forces are pushing there, and this will allow the Russian forces to pincer somewhat, in two different flanks, from the north and from the east. This is how the Russians like to attack a settlement, and this will allow them to do that. So Novoporotsky is not that kind of a super heavily defended, as the one that is a crazy defended is in the northern part of Novoselivka, Persia. So anyway, we will just wait and see how this develops. In the southern flank, we only have a fighting reporter at Netelove again, according to the Russian source Ryba. So basically, Ryba mentioned about the Russian forces trying to create more buffer zone in the north and in the south of Netelove. The Russians are pushing out, and we have geolocation showing that the Russians have indeed expanded a little bit north of Netelove. And that's all from the Avdiivka front. We move into the Donetsk front. At the Donetsk front, the battle of Krasnohorivka is definitely ongoing, but there is no reports from there. Russian forces are pushing towards Vodian, and then there is battle at Uruzhaine being reported. Everything else is quiet because Ukrainian Defense Ministry didn't talk about anything. Russians are also reported that Ukrainians attacked towards Volodymyrivka. So over at the Krasnohorivka region, we only have a geolocation of Russian infantry taking position in the center of Krasnohorivka, showing that the Russians are in this area here, despite that there was a Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, storming down and then get destroyed somewhere here. So this, which means that the Bradley heroic charge has nothing to do with the front line. There is still Russian forces wherever we have mapped them to be. So our mapping is still accurate. And so we move over down south. There is geolocation of Russian forces in the southwest of Novomikhailivka. Another one over here. And this one actually affected the front line. With the Russian forces continue their push towards Vodian, slow and steady, and moving towards Vodian. And the Ukrainian forces allegedly was fighting towards Vladimirovka or Volodymyrivka in Ukrainian. This is a very weird situation because the fighting at Volodymyrivka had been reported so many times, and I would say it's not very practical from my point of view. I think the Ukrainians will be better served if they conquer Palivka or Mikhailsk. Fighting for Volodymyrivka is just putting yourself in the salient far away from the supply line. So I don't see a point to it. In the Velika Novosilka sector, due to the lack of Ukrainian report, we only have the Russians reported to be attacking Uruzhaine, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So that's about it here. In the north, there is an airstrike on Ukrainian position along this at the tree junction between the road and the tree line. So there's probably heavy entrenchment, the Ukrainian entrenchment around here. So very typical because it's the junction. So there's probably some heavy some entrenchment around there. So it got airstriked. So this is very unusual because now, not unusual, but this is a new norm. This is a new norm, a new meta of how the Russians operate. They now conduct close air support with they're using big caliber bombs to bomb entrenchments and fortifications, which means that even you are in a bunker, you'll probably still die. So which is quite bad. And if let's say the Russians use the thermobaric missiles or the TOS-1A, you also still die. So horrific. Anyway, we move into the Zaporizhzhia front. At the Zaporizhzhia front, I think we have no reports. I think there's one over at Robotine. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry there. Ukrainian sources, Deep State UA, say that the Russians are attacking in this area here. They claim some frontline changes, but because their frontline differs from the DPA's quite a bit, I can't even see where's their change. So I don't know what was changed. So there is no change on DPA's mapping. Their changes is probably within Robotine. However, DPA's mapping is based on geolocations. In the region of Robotine, most of Robotine has been taken by the Russian forces, confirmed by geolocation. So whatever the Ukrainians may want to map, it wouldn't matter because unless the Ukrainians show themselves inside there, it wouldn't matter at all. Over in the southern front, we have some shelling over in the region of Marivka, just off Nikopol, opposite shore of Enohoda, where the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is, which is here. And over in the Krinky region, there is no fighting being reported because, I said again, Ukrainians didn't report, so there is no report of Krinky. There is, however, geolocation of a FPV drone hitting a Ukrainian boat just off Krinky, and there is another geolocation of Russian airstrike over at Novotyakhinka. So that's the two geolocations in the Kherson front. And over in the Black Sea, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that the Black Sea Fleet destroyed 4 unmanned surface vehicle or the uncrewed surface vehicle in the northwestern part of the Black Sea. And if I'm not wrong, I'm not mistaken, I saw the footages. The Russians finally used first-person view drones, FPV drones, suicide drones to attack these surface drones, which is something that I have thought about a long time ago when I first saw the surface drone. When I saw the Russian Navy using machine guns to try to hit these drones. It doesn't make sense because the range of the machine gun is just too short. And even if you send out a helicopter, the helicopter using the machine gun also miss very badly. So I was always thinking that using the FPV drone would be so much more sensible because it's so much faster. You can launch a FPV drone from a helicopter, from a boat. You can travel far distance, engage the suicide drone, the kamikaze, surface drone much further away. And finally, the Russians did it. So the evolution of weaponry in this war continues. It makes perfect sense for this to happen, and these developments of using drones has really taken off. China have already launched a drone carrier, a totally new type of vessel, and I'm not sure. And there's another country that also seems to have developed something like that. I'm not sure. Is it? I think Iran. Iran also launched a surface carrier, a drone carrier, but their drone carrier is based on a converted commercial ship. But the Chinese one was a dedicated military ship. They built it from scratch. So this is going to be the future of warfare. I think FPV drone might become a commonplace even in naval warfare because it's just so accurate. It's just so much more easier to manage. And I wouldn't be surprised that we're going to see Lancers. You're going to have surface ships launching Lancers as a standard projectile in the near future. And it could be very useful in taking out enemy drones, surface drones. And yeah, that's what it is. So it's just interesting to see the evolution of military weaponry in front of our eyes. So anyway, thank you for watching. So rambled a little bit more just now on this FPV drone in the naval warfare because I find it very interesting. So thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and thank you for watching, Commander. I'll see you guys in the next update.